My name is Ursula Galvin and I'm a client support worker with a specialism in children and young people in Clare Haven Services. Typically it will be when the separation has occurred and the perpetrator has left the family home. It's open for children between 5 and 16 years of age and living in the Clare and Limerick area. Children are grouped within 2 years apart in age. So you'd have 6 to 8 year olds, 8 to 10 year olds, 10 to 12, and then a teenage group. Siblings will be put into separate groups, and that's because they might have a different opinion or have a different perspective on an argument that they might have witnessed, and it's also to give them their own bit of space to talk as well. And we try and keep it gender balanced as much as possible. Some of the benefits of the programme would be that it helps them on the road to recovery. It allows them to share their experience and talk to other children that have been in a similar situation. It helps them to understand that what has happened between their mum and dad is not their fault, and they get a chance to learn some coping skills and strategies for the future. So typically children would begin the programme when the separation has occurred and the perpetrator no longer resides in the family home. It's open for children aged between 5 and 16.
The TLC programme is a recovery programme for mothers and children who have experienced domestic violence. The programme itself originated it's a Canadian model, so it originated in Canada, then they started to use that model in the UK. We've been running with this programme in Ireland since about 15-16 years. My colleagues in Thurles have been running it, but locally here we've only been running it in Clare since late 2019, early 2020. So it's a 12-week group work programme for mothers that run concurrently. So we'd run a mum's group, a mother's group, and then we'd run a children's group on the very same week. But it's very much a recovery programme, and it's done over a 12-week period. And mother's group about 2.5 hours long, children's group an hour and a half. The TLC programme is for mothers and children who have experienced domestic violence. The themes and the content is the very same for the mothers group and the children's group. So some of the areas that we cover in that is initially it's around making connections within the group, breaking the silence on the hurting and fighting that happened in the home. We do a lot of work on responsibility, feelings work, exploring kind of feelings, safety planning. We also do a bit of work in terms of the changes that have occurred for these mothers and children in their families. And then for the children's group, we look at self-esteem and how that's been impacted, and I suppose boosting self-esteem. And then there's a thread of self-care that goes through the mothers group as well. So the key aims really and objectives are to give mums and children a space. I suppose for children it's about giving them a space where they can talk about the hurting and family that has happened. They can talk about how they feel about it. They can do that in a very safe space with peers of their own age and other children who have experienced similar I suppose hurting and fighting as well in their homes. For the mums, it's very much about I suppose for the mums there's a support aspect in terms of chatting with other mums about their experiences, but I suppose ultimately it's about giving them skills and strategies to support them and supporting their children to kind of navigate the healing and the recovery process. There's a lot of emphasis then on the parent-child relationship and strengthening that bond through the healing and recovering as the mother and child come through that process, that recovery process. So that's what we're hoping to achieve. Mothers can access a number of ways. They can self-refer in to myself, or they can. We get referrals through partner agencies across Clare, so that could be family support or Clare Haven Services here as well. So there, and as I said, self-refer in as well. Similarly, generally what happens is that a mom could pick up the phone to myself and just have a chat about maybe what they feel their children are experiencing, and then via that route, or again via an agency referrals or self-referrals again. So the Mothers Group is very much about a group to support moms to see the domestic violence and the hurting and the fighting that happened through the lens of their child. So it's very much supporting them to see that and to be able to have greater understanding in terms of the impact, and I suppose supporting them on that road to recovery as well. Yeah, a child can participate if the mom isn't involved in the Mothers Group. As I was saying earlier, this is very much about a programme to support the child in their recovery. The mom's element is to support the child. So ultimately we're looking at this, and the programme is to looking at it through the lens of the child. So yeah, we can have a child participate without the mom. What children, there are a lot of benefits. What children would say to us at the end of a group is, they no longer feel responsible. They understand how they were feeling now. They understand why they were angry, why they were confused, why they were scared. Children talk about not feeling alone. They talk about it being a fun place to come and just be with other kids that understand them and that understand how they're feeling.